Hi everybody, welcome to the South Australian Sports Show. I hope you can stay with us for the next hour. We have got plenty coming up on the show. As always, the co-host Barry Curtin in. Baz, how are you?
Terrific.
Now mate, we've got an interesting interview that you've gone down to the Rosewater Footy Club. It's their first interview since they've had some traumas down there.
Yeah.
How did you find it? I mean, you talked to the Pres, Johnny Reardon, how was he?
Well, it was more of a feel-good story for the Amateur League, which I think have copped a bit of flack over the last few years. There's been a lot of trouble with clubs and reports and all this sort of thing, and clubs getting thrown out. And this is a story of a club who were probably the first to get into trouble, big trouble, a few years ago, about 2016, I reckon. This is more of a resurrection story because the club is back. The club is now has no limits as far as the Amateur League is concerned.
So they've served their penalties.
They've served their penalty. They've done well. They were promoted into Division 5 this year, so had a great year. New coach, the president, the guy I spoke to, John Reardon, is back at the helm. He was the guy that got the club the grant to build the club rooms and all this sort of thing, and they've just done a great job.
Was he emotive about it? Because he'd done all this great work, then he left, and then they had these almost 2 years in the wilderness, and now they're back on track. Yeah. He's come back as president to steer them back out of it.
Yeah.
Did you find him emotive at all?
Yeah. Look, extremely passionate about the footy club. I mean, he was a player. He was a player. 99 games he played.
Wow.
99 games. He'd played 98.
Yep.
Did his knee. Came back.
Yep.
After a long time out of the game. Back then, it wasn't a knee. It was 12 months. It was a long time. Come back, play his 99th, which I played in, and there was an ambulance parked down by the corner just waiting for him. And sure enough, he was in it after about 10 minutes. He's 99.
The knee was gone.
So he's never got that 100 games, but he's a passionate Rosewater man, always has been. And there's a lot of very good players, Phil. As you'll see in the interview, he talks about it, a lot of the guns that have played there, but very, very emotional about the footy club and very happy that they've actually turned it around, promoted into Division 5 next year under Wayne Marnie, ex-Port Adelaide player. And they've done a terrific job. So it's an interesting one, but it's a feel-good story for the Amateur League.
Well, I reckon you want to stay tuned and listen to that one because he talks about the ripple effect, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
How that impacted on the club and how difficult to come back. So
people don't realise it, Phil.
It's a really interesting story.
Yeah.
Quickly before we get to the news with Ashley, Chad Wingard, we spoke last week. We thought it was all okay. It was just, and Chad had been sending out a little bit of stuff that kind of alluded to he wasn't going anywhere, and lo and behold, he's gone. And Hawthorn player in, Power player out.
Burton,
Ripping player too.
Terrific player.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because you think at the start we can't afford to lose someone of that ilk here in South Australia, but then you go, gee whiz, I don't know, mightn't be too bad. Plus a draft pick as well.
Plus an early pick.
Were you surprised when you heard he was going?
I think the majority of Port Adelaide supporters were surprised that he was the one that left.
Yeah.
If you picked any player, you wouldn't have thought Chad Wingard would be that player. And a lot of people can go back to the time where he was hypnotised as a
I remember it.
And they said to him there that you're being traded, and the carry on after that. So he's a true. He gets around in his power gear and a Magpie beanie.
Yeah.
He's a Port Adelaide kid. Now he's put out a statement on Wednesday about why he's going. Well, not so much why he's going, but to thank everybody at Port Adelaide and a wonderful time and a great club. There's just got to be there's something in there that it just isn't quite right for me because he's a Port Adelaide kid who loves the club. So
well, it eventually comes out.
It does come out.
Hey, we need to get to Ashley with the news. Ash, what have you got for us?
Thanks, guys. Ashley's unfortunately still sick, so you're stuck with me for now. Here's This Week in Sport. The 36ers have spoiled Andrew Bogart's debut NBL game with an 11-point victory over the Sydney Kings. Usual suspects Nathan Sobey and Daniel Johnson led the way for Adelaide, dominating the floor on both ends. The Kings will get another crack when the two teams rematch tonight at Titanium Arena. The second round of the Australian Hockey League has concluded with both the SA Suns and SA Hotshots claiming victory over the Northern Territory. The men's and women's teams put on a dominant displays to keep NT scoreless in both games. Both SA teams will be taking on Old Rebels Victoria this weekend, hoping to cement their spot as one of the league's favourites. Ahead of his second Under-23 World Cup, Adelaide bat pitcher Nick Hutchings has re-signed for the upcoming ABL season. At just 22, Hutchings has served 4 seasons in the league and successfully coached Adelaide's Little League team to the second place at Australian Championships. The Bats' long-awaited season opener will be against 3-time defending champs, the Brisbane Bandits, in just under a month's time. US import pitcher Katie Sutherland-Finch has stunned the Adelaide softball world, striking out against every pitcher she faced. Representing Port Adelaide, Sutherland-Finch astonished the Seacombe batters to lead her side to a 9-0 victory. She's definitely one to keep an eye on. Big news coming out of the Adelaide United's women team, with the Reds signing experienced defender Amber Brooks for the upcoming season. Brooks was most recently captain for the Houston Dash, as well as serving 2 stints in Europe. Brooks adds much needed experience to the young side. Meanwhile, the Adelaide United's men team kicks off their season tonight against Sydney FC. The South Australian talent in the upcoming AFL draft is looking better and better, with Kai Pudney enhancing his stocks after a massive day at the draft combine. Pudney joins Isaac Ranking and probable number 1 pick Jack Lukosis as some of Australia's up-and-coming elite footballers. The AFL trade period is continuing to heat up as both SA teams are doing all they can to get their hands on one of these youngsters. Redbacks captain Travis Head has impressed the cricket world in his debut Test series against Pakistan. Alan Border has gone as far to say that his courageous performance with the bat will be his making as a Test cricketer and potentially even future leader for the green and gold. Head's stellar form all but ensures he'll get the call-up for Australia's upcoming Test against India later this year. That's it for this week. Wishing Ashley a fast recovery. Back to you guys.
Thanks for that terrific news update, well, Baz. We don't talk about it enough, but pro running, big event coming up, St Michael's Gift here Sunday at midday, so we thought we'd get in a man who is an expert. He was a great runner himself, now coaching. Paul Young joins us. Paul, thanks for coming in, mate.
Thanks, Phil. Thanks, Barry.
Mate, before we get to what's coming up here at St Michael's, let's go back a little bit just for the viewers and talk a little bit about your time as a pro runner and how you got into it. So, was it always into running, or is it footy, some other sport?
I mean, back in the 70s, I played footy, played cricket. Yep. My father's a good cricketer, so I followed him into cricket. And then got to the stage where I was playing VFA football with Brunswick, and I decided that I needed to find a yard for the football. Not that I was probably the fastest bloke in the club, but I just wanted to find another yard to go to that extra level to play seniors, because I was playing thirds and under 19s and seconds. And so I contacted the local Essendon Professional Athletic Club, and they told me where they trained, Buckley Park in Essendon. So I headed up there, and that's where I trained, and went there I was there for about 7 years. With Fergie Speakman, who trained 5 Stall gift winners.
Wow.
32, 58, 69. 63, 69 and 85. So, and he's a Lown legend in the sport, Stall Gift Hall of Fame. And then, I progressed from there. I was playing football, but then the pro running took over by about early 80s, 81, 82, 83. I thought, this is not a bad sport. And my football career was starting to fail a bit. I wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
So I was struggling to get a game in the Brunswick. So I thought, bugger it, I'll go play footy. I'll go do the running.
What's always intrigued me, what you said there earlier about, okay, I'm playing footy, but I think I need to find another yard. Yeah. So I'll go and practice. And how does somebody find, say someone like me, who's probably not as quick as you when you were playing, but how do I find another yard? What do I do in training to find another yard?
Just train fast, train to run fast. I mean, coaches like me, I went to North Melbourne in 80, I had Wayne Schulbush ring me back in 91, 92, and when I was starting to retire from athletics, and just rang me and said, Jose Romero needs to find a yard for his footy. And I said to Jose, when he turned up, I said, who's the fastest in the club? He said, there's me, there's Schwatter, Wayne Schwass, like an half forward line, I can't remember his name now. But anyway, and himself, there's 3 of them. And he said, and then I got him to train with Jimmy Bradley's blokes. We had 14 guys in work, and he was the slowest by far. And you realise then, when you watched him run, you realise he'd never been taught to run before. It's like if you take up piano or anything else. Okay. As soon as you're taught how to run, just the mechanics and the basics of it, and it's and these guys have never been taught to run before. So
it's in the running. So it's actually
you can find a yard. We found 5 yards in the space of a few weeks with him, because he went from, I actually had to come out of retirement to accommodate him, to run with him, and because he was so much slower than everybody else, and I'd retired, and but to start with, I had to drop back my own pace to stay with him, but over a period of time, he was as quick as I was, so he improved substantially. I had a meeting with Dennis Pagan at the end of the year about because Sean got the flick after Adelaide Crows smashed him up over here. So I was speaking with Pagan and Greg Miller at the time, and they just employed some guy, a fitness guy from the VIS, who had no idea about athletics, sprinting. His idea of, he big noted himself, and I won't say his name, but he big noted himself, and he said, I've trained Peter Anthony and Kathy Watt. I said, yeah, they sit on their backside for the sport. One's a cyclist and one's a canoeist or something. I said, they don't run. I said, you've got to be able to run. So anyway, as it turned out, I didn't go down that path, but I kept away. But yeah, but they were impressed. I mean, Greg Miller, who'd been there at the time with Sean Bushman and Jose Romero had come on board, he was impressed with the fact that he improved substantially. In fact, he rang me after that meeting and just said, what can we do? I said, well, I'm out of it now. I can't work for that blokes. But basically, just got to train to run fast.
Paul, is it hard for a footballer to pick up a yard, we'd use them, or it could be a basketball, to change their technique? I'd imagine their technique's pretty poor, like you said, nearly have none. How different then to working with the elite athlete where you're trying to just get that fraction of a second for them to be a winner, to get their technique to where you want it? Is it a massive difference?
The more flaws, the more they can improve. So if they're not that flawed, then you've got to look at other areas. But there is, like I've got Harrison Hunt now. He's still very raw. He's still got a lot. As I said,
how old's Harrison now?
He's just turned 19.
Okay, so
he's in the under-20 junior nationals this year. So he's still got flaws that we can work on. So, and particularly his starting technique's still a little bit raw. He's only been in sport a couple of years. But when you take a footballer, they've got no technique. And I was at the Crows for 8 years. I mean, I went there in 2002, and I was with Brett Burt and a few other players, Kenny McGregor, and Neil Craig was there at the time, and they were. And I think you had Matt Bowden. Bodie. And he was there at the time, and they thought, well, these guys are found a little bit, just working with us. So I was there for the next 6 or 7 years helping them out, because I mainly took the rookies, the new blokes that came on board, like when Tex Walker came down there and Dangerfield came down there. They had them for the first few weeks before they just give them a few ideas about where they can find a yard.
So who's the best footballer? Who's the one, if you were to pick one out to go, okay, that guy there could be a pro runner. He could be
a real fast runner.
Yeah.
Dangerfield at the
Dangerfield?
Crows. Yeah.
Powerful runner.
He was quick early. Yeah.
A power runner.
Yeah. The one I always thought from watching footy for a while was the bloke that Davey played at Melbourne.
Yes, Alan Davey.
Oh yeah, he was seriously quick.
Very, very.
Yeah. And the other was another one going back a few years. Remember Mitchell played at Richmond.
Yep.
Yeah,
another one.
Kid. Yeah, Michael Mitchell. I think geez, was he quick?
Quick. Do you chase these guys? I mean, I brought a couple up there, but in your travels, you would see someone would just leap out at you and go, "Whoa, that boy can run." Yeah. Do you go up and have a chat to him and say, "Have you thought about pro running and things like that?"
Certainly, I had. There's a guy playing soccer 3 or 4 years ago, saw him out in the park. Looks, he's 6'5", Sudanese lad. Agility wise, he looked like he could move, and I just said to him, could you ever thought about running 400s? And he said never run a 400 before. So I said, well, come down. So he trained with us for a couple of years, and then we parted company. He's been to a few other coaches since then. He sort of drifts in and out of the sport.
Did he improve? Yeah,
he certainly improved, but the first couple of years. But he sort of stagnated after that because of other distractions and things in his life. So. But there's certainly, if I see someone seriously quick, I was helping at Kangaroo a couple of years ago. They had a young fellow in the seconds who could run a bit. But unfortunately, they're down they sort of enjoy the culture of not having to train 6, 7 days and 5 days a week. They enjoy
because that's a sport where you need to be.
You'll be pretty committed for this one.
You can't not Tuesday, Thursday night. And have a couple of schooners and a fight and whatever.
No, you won't be going to the Stall, the Bay, or the Burnie, mate. You won't be in any of those three.
I'm out.
While we mention those three, is there? I mean, the Stall's always seen as the big one, then the Bay, and then probably the Burnie. For you, are one of those three a favourite for you because of not so much the tradition of the race, but the track itself?
Oh, the Stall Gift, of course.
Is the one.
That's the one I've always. But I love the Burnie Gift and I love the Basic. I've had 3 Burnie Gift winners and the only South Australian coach of Basic Burnie Gift winner because I've got growing up in Victoria back in the 1980s, there was the Bay Sheffield, there was a Stall, then there was Burnie, then the Bay Sheffield. Now it's Stall, Bay Sheffield, Burnie. Burnie's dropped off the map a little bit. Still one of the prestige ones, but it's gets about 50, 60 entries, whereas the Bay Sheffield now gets about 100 entries. Back in the 80s, a lot of the Victorians, we'd be a big contingent of 30, 40 Victorians would go over to Burnie and you'd probably have 100 and plus entries over there and it was always massive. It was the Stall Gift, the Burnie Gift and the Bay Sheffield, but now it's swapped around the other way with the Bay being bigger than Burnie. But there's a few around. There's, like Maryborough New Year's Day, it's been going for 130 odd years.
Wow.
There's Keilor gift, Bendigo gift, Ballarat gift. Victoria's got is a mecca of pro running in our sport, so it's got the major races. They've also got the big 400s like the Bendigo they call it Black Opal now. It's a 400-metre race with first prize of Black Opal. So there's some good races around.
We talk about the Bay Sheffield because we're here in South Australia, so obviously we have a little bit of a thing about going about the Bay Sheffield. People turn up and they go, well, the fastest runner wins it on the day. But it's not quite that simple, is it? There's a pathway coming in, there's the handicapping, so when you're preparing, let's say it's Harrison, to run in the Bay Sheffield, how far back are you to preparing for that race that's in December? When would you start working out the pathway?
Well, he's only come on board this season, but I look at least 2-3 years. And if I get a guy now, I'm looking 2 years down the track.
2 years before.
I mean, it depends on their quality and standard, where they're at and where their mark's going to be. Because if they haven't got the mark straight away, because the handicap being the novice mark's about 6. Some guys, just not capable of winning off 6 straight away. So you need to work out what you need. So it's a bit of a strategy attached to all that.
Yeah.
But you also got to get fit. So, I mean, some stage your handicap meets your ability to improve, and you sort of hit the peak and bang, that's the opportunity. But if you're say you need 8 and you're only on 6, then you've got a bit of work to do. Either find it at training or find it from the handicapper.
Hey mate, just quickly before we go, the St Michael's gift this Sunday.
Yeah.
What are we expecting?
Oh, it's going to be a big race. It's a big race in terms of the first meet of the season. It's always we've all been off the track during the winter. We've been training our different squads. We don't know, whilst we're going okay in our own squad, you get to a meet like St Michael's and all of a sudden someone's, you don't know, you thought it was okay and they've improved a bit. And we've seen that over the time. So it's always good to see the new athletes. There's a lot of new runners now, a lot of novices. I handicap the juniors. So I only coach seniors athletes, so I can coach the juniors without any conflict of interest. And there's an enormous amount of juniors coming into the sport now. There's a lot of kids, and you just like last year I handicapped the junior under-18 race at St Michael's for a 13.3 race, and they're going down 12.8 because the kids just come back 3 inches taller and grown another leg, and they're driving to the training. They're driving to the ground now, and you think it's a little kid only last year. So it's going to be a big race. It's going to be a good meeting, and there's a lot of good runners. Harrison Hunt's. There's a backmarkers race in honour of Jack Panuccio, who passed away a couple of years ago. He was a young runner who won an under-18s 200-metre race at Flinders, and he unfortunately passed away 2 years ago, before last season. And so there's now the 100 yards backmarkers race is in his honour. So Harrison will run in that, and John Evans, who won the Athlete of the Year a couple of years ago, will run in that. Generally, they take him from the back of the field, which there's 4. The back markers this week are all out of our not so much my squad. 3 from my squad, and there's another one from our club. So they'll be mainly Western District.
All right, looks like it's going to be a great event. Sunday, 12 o'clock, St Michael's. You need to get down there and have a look. Paul Young, pro runner, our special guest. Stay with us. A bit more to come on the show.